Terror on the Tube.
Welcome to Terror on the Tube, where we watch and discuss horror and suspense made for TV movies from the 70s, 80s, and at least one time, the 1990s. I am Gilman Joel, and my co-hosts are Pumpkinhead Peter. Peter? Are you there?
Damn it, I tried to look like I was frozen.
Oh, nice try. All right, that's going to make no sense to anybody who's
sorry.
just listening, but we'll get to it in a minute. All right, so Pumpkinhead
yeah.
Peter is here. Pumpkinhead. Pumpkin. Thank you, Pumpkin. And of course, Allyson, a.k.a. the Horror Unicorn. Welcome, Allyson.
Hello.
Yes. So we might sound like we're being weirder than usual, at least Peter and me. But we're actually doing this as a test, an experiment of sorts. So I've made this known through other podcasts. I've started a YouTube channel called Mom and Pop Video Shop. And I thought what would be fun with shows like Terror on the Tube and Urban Movie Geek is if we did a video recorded version of it, I could put it up on that channel as well. So that is what we have here. So if you're listening to this via Apple or Spotify or whatever you're listening,
See us.
you can't see us. So if you want to see us, and honestly, this will be the most unedited version because, quite frankly, I'm not going to bother. No offense. Unless we have like a massive issue, like Peter stands up, not wearing pants, something like that, I'll edit that. But beyond
As
that,
a matter of fact,
whoa. I can dump you from the okay. But yeah. So as long as nothing like that happens, this is going to go out uncut, uncensored. So yeah. So we're here. We're doing a Terror on the Tube. I got to take the energy level down. This is not Retro Movie Geek. I'm gonna bring it down to a smidgen. Okay, here we go. We are doing a movie from 1977 called Night. Well, depending on what you look up, I guess it's called Night Terror or Night Terrors. No, Night Terror
Night
without
Terror
the S.
or Night Drive.
Yes,
Yep.
that's the two. So, Peter, do you happen to have a synopsis? Since Allyson and I and everyone watching can see you for the first time ever do a synopsis.
One sentence. A housewife is stalked by a psycho after she sees him murder a highway patrol officer. That's
True enough.
about it.
That's about it.
Yep.
Indeed it is. All right, so I'm going to go around the horn here, and we have to start with, of course, Allyson, our resident TV, movie, horror suspense aficionado.
Everything.
You definitely saw way more than we did, okay, compared to us. Had you ever seen this movie before?
No.
Had you heard of it?
Yeah, I'd come across
Okay.
it while looking up things to watch. And I think because it was terror on the highway and not like a spooky ghost thing or, I don't know, gaslighting or something up my alley, I just skipped it. I was kind of like, yeah, that doesn't really sound that fun to me. Although, to be fair, I really love the movie Hitcher. So I don't know why I was taking a pass on this. But yeah, I'd heard of it for sure.
Cool. All right, Peter, what about you? I assume you're like me.
Take a wild guess.
Yeah, but like me, you had never even heard of it,
Nope.
right? Okay.
Well, I've heard Night Terror. I think I've heard and the fact that Valerie Harper was in it, but I don't think other than that, no.
By the way, I also love that. Is this not the second Valerie Harper movie in a row?
Yes.
It is.
She's the anti-Lucci, by the way. She's in movies I love.
Okay.
Except for I always forget the name, but what's the Craven movie I actually really dug? That was Wackadoo. What was that?
Oh, Invitation to Hell.
That
There
was.
you
I knew
go.
it had
Yeah.
hell in the title. I always forget the title. I always want to say Welcome to Hell. I know that's not what it's called though. That one I loved because it was just so out there.
Valerie Harper is a bit pushy in this one, I think.
Oh no. Actually, I'm going to make argument to why she's actually fantastic in this one.
No. I'm not arguing.
We will fight, Peter. I can see your face now. I'm not scared of you, man. I'm not. Okay.
Leave studio. No, but she's. I mean, I'm not arguing that because she's a great actress, but it's the character is a bit kind of pushy.
I actually found she had a good character arc, but we'll get there. So, by the way, anybody watching, there is a special guest on this episode. He is completely and utterly unconscious at the moment, but this is my 9-week-old Boston Terrier puppy. He is doing his podcast debut. This is Gus. So he will be sleeping and slumbering. I bet you he sleeps through this entire episode. Bostons are the only puppies I've ever had or been around in my life where they'll just like get up in your lap and not move. Like that's it. They're like a cat. They just
they have the right size.
Yes, and they're the right size.
A Great Dane would just be.
Oh well, yeah. So that would be a problem. All right, so I'm going to take my stuff from my cup, and we can all everybody watching with to see us. I'm using my Halloween 2 Party City plastic cup. Peter has his, and Allyson has her. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes. We're not sponsored by any of these things.
We're not at all.
Yeah. No sponsorships yet. So I had, like I said, I never even heard of this movie, but here's the thing, Allyson, unlike yourself, as soon as I saw the guy at the beginning, the killer, which I love that's all we ever get on him, the killer, no name, just the killer. I saw it. Yes. The voice is it called a modulator or what's that called? A voice synthesizer
or something.
Yeah. Usually somebody who's had like throat cancer or something and they've had their vocal cords removed, they have to use those.
I mean, he had and people can't see that. I'm marking from my neck, throat down. He had a huge scar.
But again, it's never explained.
Nope.
I'm going to lay all my cards on the table right now, guys. I loved this movie. Like it's top tier Terror on the Tube for me at this point. Like, I honestly, this is one that I want to own.
About Soul Survivor.
Which one was
the one that this ghost that around the airplane?
I like that one. That was really good. But this one is this subgenre. My buddy Tyson, who's on the Mom and Pop video shop with me, this is our jam together. Like this is The Hitcher, Joyride. Breakdown, Duel, of course, Death Proof. I would argue definitely falls into this bucket. The
road movie of sorts.
Any highway horror is a subgenre I absolutely love.
We'll have more because there were a bunch, even TV movies made. So I think there'll be.
Thank God, because I'm not gonna lie. There was a moment at the beginning of this. I didn't read anything about it. I went into it completely blind, like we are supposed to. And as soon as he was on the highway. And they went in, then they showed Valerie Harper with her family, and then we got the whole build up. I thought, is this going to be like almost like Duel, but with Valerie Harper instead of Dennis Weaver? I was like, is this going to be kind of a Duel thing? But yet we get to actually see the killer, the villain from the beginning. Yeah. And then we went to that little kind of seedy diner that he was in. When we'll get to all that stuff.
Yeah, he is a douche.
Oh, he's a total douche. But he's like wackadoo douche, right? It's like he does it. It's not like he's just doing it to be like, oh, I'm me. There's something broken for sure in this guy's head. And I was like, oh, please let this be a minimalist, simple. And you read the synopsis. That is what this movie is. Like if I had read that synopsis, my expectations going into this would have been like sky high because that's all I want. I just want simple, almost like urban legend level horror. Like, you know what I mean? Just that simple cat and mouse. Don't over explain crap to me. Don't try to tell me why he's doing what he's doing. And it all made sense. That's the other thing. We'll get into that too. The writing of this movie, even though it's very minimal dialogue, writing was great.
Yeah, you kind of have to guess because he makes a phone call and you hear them call him like a soldier or something. So you kind of get the gist that's where the scar comes from and all that. And then he's supposed to deliver something. I never really.
But we never find out what. Yeah, and I love that.
You see a shot later on in the rain and in the dark of something he puts in the car, and a shot of something that says U.S. Army or
so we got a military weaponry. Yeah,
that's all.
Almost like he's running illegal arms for like maybe he stole he stole it from the military and he's like shipping around to people but again I love not knowing. I love being able to like put my own assumptions on top of that. That's so cool. So Allyson, for you, because you already said it, you set the bar here. You said highway horror, although you acknowledge the Hitcher because the Hitcher is freaking amazing. that you like the Hitcher, but what did you think of Night Terror / Night Drive?
Well, actually, I love The Hitcher. I think that's an amazing movie.
Because you're a good person.
But and I think I actually probably really enjoy highway horror when I see it. I just have this thing in my brain that's like, oh, I don't know, that might actually be boring. It usually never is. This, like you were saying, you don't know a lot, which is great, which is, how I prefer my Halloween movies. So it's just, that's what I love about the original Halloween. I think you could say a fair amount about Jason and Friday the 13th. There's loosely a story there, but he just kills because that's what he does. And we were watching him, and Drew was actually with me when we watched this yesterday morning, and he said, oh, it's like Jaws can drive, and he's on the road, and anybody that crosses his path is going to get it, which is basically what happens here. And the name of the actor escapes me, but he was really good at being menacing. And
he's great. Yeah.
This is definitely one where I found myself watching the entire time. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm going to get up and putter around and go get a snack or look at my phone, or, sometimes they have slow pacing issues, especially in the 70s. A lot of people complain about that, but that's not an issue here. And especially because this was made for TV. There were commercial breaks at one point. You watch it, I think it's got like an hour and 15 runtime. So you watch it straight through and it goes really fast. It feels like it runs at a really healthy pace. And I also, because I'm just a nerd for retro interiors, I loved the house that they were moving out of at the beginning. I loved the diner where he's menacing the waitress. Like there's an awesome,
agree.
I think only we would notice this at our house, but there was like an awesome Hams light behind the waitress the whole time. And it's like, I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's really cool. I'm like, wait, what's happening in this scene? This is incredibly messed up. And also used to work in the service industry. So having to deal with somebody who is terrifying and also belittling at the same time. He spits money at the waitress.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, whew.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah, not only is he a jerk pouring coffee all over the counter, but he had like Allyson said, he pays for it, but he puts the money in his mouth first and just spits it at her.
He wants to terrorize and dominate everyone.
Yes, he does. And it's like, but it's not just that he does it. He does it in that way where you would draw conclusions. Like, okay, there's some people that are obviously very narcissistic and very just like, there's a sadism to them right there. And this guy has that, but it's almost like he has it because there's just something not.
He enjoys being a douche.
Yeah. I mean, even when he's by himself.
There's a look in his eye that it amuses him.
He's legit nuts. Like this guy's just crazy. Like he's crazy. And so like everything he does, you would just go, because like her reaction to him is totally just, what do I do? Like, it's so uncomfortable.
And we talked about this a little bit before, Joel, that there is actually two versions of this movie. There is this TV version, an hour, 13, 14 minutes. And there's a longer standard feature that I also found and checked to see what version would be worth looking at. The TV version, which is actually on YouTube, I think. It's the best looking one. But you can see there's a filler, and I did air quotes, with him after the diner. I think that's after he makes the phone call where he's supposed to deliver something. But he's standing in the bathroom of the diner, and he kind of plays a little bit with his voice box and wipes it off, and almost not fondling it. That sounds weird, but it's like it's like his precious. Wiping it off and then putting it in a box and all that. So you see a little bit more of him being kind of wackadoo.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
I watched. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I checked a little bit more. So a lot of these scenes are mostly filler. So it works better at that brisk pace that we see on the TV version.
Yeah. Is that the one you watched, Allyson? Did you watch the?
Yeah, I watched the short version.
Me too. Okay. Me too. Yeah. I thought this is an example because again, the other thing I'm really, and I promise I feel like I have to tell Tyson this, and then you guys this, and then ultimately I'll tell Daryl this. We're all together, so now you have the opportunity to give me what? No, not Daryl. I said when we do this with Daryl, you could give me the stank eye when I go on a rant. So I'm going to be very careful here and not completely rant on you guys. But modern day movies and this incessant need to make them 2.5+ hours long, I'm beyond over. Like I can't. I can't. And so to watch a 75-minute, just nice and just tight and minimal and just
it's
like boom.
brisk.
It's in and out, great story told. We don't need to overdo this. So
it works perfectly when you watch it late at night and you're tired.
I bet, yes.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, and we'll get into some more about the cast and the crew and everybody here in a minute, but there were some other things that I wanted.
There's not a lot of cast members actually.
No, but the ones that are in it, I actually recognized virtually all of them.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised by. So I actually took some copious notes.
Really?
I did. Yes, I did. Which is unusual. Sometimes I watch these. I'll take like a few things I want to like mention, and I know we're gonna go through the cast and crew. But
I wrote down stressful move because she was stressed out, and I've moved several times and probably more times than I care to admit, and I hate each and every one of them.
Yes, it's no fun. Moving is no fun. I will say that what I liked about her character was that they set her. There was an arc, and they set. And if you think, and it totally fits because Valerie Harper, but it was Rhoda, right? Wasn't that the famous character from Mary Tyler Moore, and then she had the spinoff show, and obviously that's sort of like that height of like it's second wave feminism, right? Is that like the 70s and all that stuff? And you could, and it's cool because to me that's what this movie is, right? Because she starts off as like kind of this scatterbrained housewife, and everyone's like, oh, pat her on the head, like treats her, even her kids. Like I love the daughter. She was a total smart arse. And it's funny, but apparently that kid is also in which I have not seen in years, but she's in the Goodbye Girl.
Yeah, it's on the list for Richard.
Yeah. And I thought I recognized her. Like she looks very familiar. And but everybody, even her own kids, kind of are dismissive in a way of her. And so what I love is that the movie is about this person. It's kind of like how Dennis Weaver in Duel is the everyman, but he's also like your classic milquetoast, guy who's completely removed from the more like, I guess, primitive sides of what it means to be a human being. And he has to face, he's used to being very kind of mild mannered and, he's soft. Yeah. David Mann, a little on the nose there with the name. And I love about that movie is that by the end of it, he has to step up. Right. Yeah. And I love that she has to step up and she gets more and more resourceful. And, throughout this movie, things happen and she's smart. Like she actually does, like there's a scene in the rain where, and we'll get to the person she talks to, but she's in the rain and she has to take a different car because the killer shows up, and she has the wherewithal to back into his car to disable it potentially. 2, she actually is like a decent human being because the other person that was with her that had been actually a decent person too, to like let her come in. He didn't try anything. Like I actually love that in this movie, by the way, all the men she crosses paths with are actually like halfway decent people. Like the one guy at we'll get to the homeless guy. He's like more scared of her than she is of him. And so I loved that she stops though to help the one. Like she didn't have to. It would have made total sense. Like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm getting out of here. But she backs up and then opens her door to see, can I save this guy? And she tries. And then later on in the movie, which I don't want to give this away because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen this and they should absolutely watch this. But later on in the movie, she's in a situation with the killer that she could have easily let him be taken out. And she does like the decent, humane thing. And I love,
think there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I love that they did that with her. I thought it was cool. And then when we get to the very, very end, and she has this moment with her husband, who is all but like patting her on the head.
I was
like,
just gonna say,
well, little lady, we know you can't. We're glad you got to spend all this time in the hospital because apparently the moron doesn't even know all the crap that, by the way, tells you about the classic garbage relationship she has with this guy that. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know the hell she's been through.
No, he's not there at all.
And he sees that. He sees her hand. Is like, see. It's like, oh my
God. That looked like it hurt. That
but
bruise
what
on her hand.
what I loved is like they stayed true to her character. Yeah. And it would have been easy to like have her be like standing up to him and say, no, she just laughs like, oh, Walter, you like, but the laugh was very much like you're an ass.
Yeah.
You were a total idiot. And I have proven to myself that actually, Walter, I kind of don't need you when push comes to shove. So I don't know. I loved all of that about this movie. I thought that was great. So
yeah, because she is kind of like a scatterbrain at the start of
the beginning.
movie.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. So
she seems stressed. Like she's very
she's moving.
Exactly. Moving is hard, and you get told that they move all the time. So this is her life. She is constantly moving and raising kind of smart ass kids. And like she's got everybody. I think when everybody thinks that you're kind of helpless or flustered easily, and then they kind of treat you that way, it's this reinforcing behavior. And then it seems like anything you do or say isn't perceived as legitimate. Like she could kind of remember what her to-do list was, but she couldn't remember where she put the actual list that I kind of got the impression the husband made for her. And then he said, "Oh, I have copies." And he opens his briefcase, and I was like, oh, I want to throttle this man.
Yeah.
He is so belittling. And I kind of was hoping at the end she should have just been like, "I'm serving you with divorce papers, and I had them printed in triplicate so that there's no mistake."
Well, I would say again, what I love about this movie is they allow you and me and Peter and anybody else who watches this movie that we can plant that idea, right? Because they don't say it, but that laugh at the end, the way she says his name, because it's not overdone, it's subtle. But I mean, this is 1977, right?
It's kind of like she's saying, like, if only you knew.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, and what I'm saying is that in 1977, as a child of the 80s myself, it was almost like a prerequisite that your parents got divorced. It seemed like. So the fact that this relationship is the way it is, I think it is a very, very safe assumption that this marriage does not get past like 1983 or 84. My guess, I could be wrong. But
Night Terror Part 2 is when she throws him out.
Yes, exactly. But so anyway, I love that. The music, the score, because this movie is very light on the dialogue. One of my few gripes with Duel, and I think Duel is almost just, I wouldn't call it perfect, but it's up there for me. It's really great.
It's close.
It's close. But here's the problem with Duel. They do the thing, and I know why they did it, because they felt like they had to fill it. It was TV, and they had to fill that time. They do the thing where David Mann, his thoughts are going, and we keep hearing his narration. And it's this constant like, why is he coming? What's he want with me? It's this constant. It's like, okay, we get it. You're freaked out, dude. We can see
parts of it. Parts of it is okay, but it kind of goes on for.
It goes on for. This movie does not do that. There's actually minimal dialogue. She has some moments. She's like, oh my god, which everybody would do, but she doesn't like over expository dialogue.
Because that would be, you're sitting, even though, I mean, I'm guilty of that. Driving alone in the car for long stretches of time, you do tend to speak to yourself and talk and do stupid stuff. But you don't really, like in this movie, you understand anyway what's going through her mind without her having to verbalize it. So, because she is stressed out enough with the move and her son being in the hospital and the fact that she's on a 16-hour drive one way or straight way, and she can't get there because, well, the first gas station she goes to, those two are jerks. Because no, we're closing, but couldn't you just open up one of the pumps so I could? No, lady, you have to go way out of your. My hand.
Did you? By the way, and we'll get to the whole cast. We'll get to the whole cast. Did you notice one of those guys? Did you recognize him?
No.
Okay. At first, I had a split second. I was like, "Oh my god, is that Shelley from Friday the 13th Part 3?" You know, the guy who Jason gets the mask. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't. But
okay.
I knew him.
They're both named Gary.
Here's what we're gonna do. Actually, since I'm sure we're gonna go back and forth here. This is ready for fun, kids. Hold on. If you're watching this on the stream, you're gonna get to see this, but we're just gonna talk about it.
Wait, what?
You see it? It is the IMDb.
Look at that fancy
thing. I know, how cool is this?
Why are there cats on it?
Oh, because it's at the top. I think it's an ad for IMDb. Yeah. So it is the actor Gary.
Why am I watching the screen? I have it right in front of me on paper. There you go. Yeah.
Gary Springer, not Jerry. Gary. No. But you will recognize him if I go to his photos real quick from let me get Jaws 2. He was
bitch.
Yeah. Remember, this is a clean podcast. But
well,
not on YouTube. But not on YouTube. By the way, I'm not on YouTube. I'm not editing out on YouTube, but I'll edit it out in the other one. But yeah, so that's why I yeah. Cool, huh?
And the other guy,
I have no idea who
no, he's called Gary Barton. So they're Gary Springer and Gary Barton. Gary. Did you actually? And I didn't really think about it when I watched it, but one of the girlfriends that comes to collect him in that van, that's Dinah Manoff.
As in,
she was Marty in Grease, and she was in Child's Play, and
Empty Nest.
Empty Nest.
Exactly. Oh my God, that was her.
One of the I mean, it's very brief that you see her, but
I'm looking to see. Oh yeah, there she is. Okay. Wow. So was she the one driving or holding the beer?
Well, I have to watch the movie again because I have no idea. You don't see them. It's very brief that you see them in the van anyway. So
yeah.
But yeah, Dinah Manoff, Empty Nest.
Okay, very cool. And then let's see. I will say I want to start off with saying EW, which he's got a fantastic name. EW Swackhammer.
Yep.
So I made notes. They are not in the room with me.
Okay.
He directed a couple other movies that have already been covered here, and I'm just going to try to go from memory. One of them was Vampire, which this movie
really?
Before I joined.
Oh yeah.
And the other one was one we just did recently, and I'm
Death
totally
Sentence.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
And there's another one that he did in '85 that I've seen that I feel like is going to come up.
Oh, okay. I won't look it up then. I'll go back.
It seems like we will be hearing from Swackhammer again.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because his name is awesome.
It is. And that's why I remember. I was like, wait, we've totally talked about this director before.
Yes, very much.
I mean, he directed a ton of episodes of a lot of cool shows anyway. Partridge Family, Bewitched, Flying Nun,
Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah. Jake and the Fat Man that I watched. McLeod.
Jake and the Fat Man. I remember when that was on. I never watched it. That was one of those. I was a kid. Had no interest.
I just remember the title.
Yeah. Would it surprise you that I have a couple of seasons on my show?
Nope, not at all.
Is it good?
I mean, it's a standard basic formula TV detective show, but yeah, it was kind of fun.
Okay.
So
cool.
Worth a watch for an episode or two.
I do also want to shout out the writers, and that is Carl Gabler and Richard Deneu or Denut. I don't know how you say his name.
Deneu? I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know what else they've done, but I do know that they did a great job of this because one of the things again that I liked about this movie was the things that happen make sense. They give even the villain, the antagonist, he gets obstacles. He's not impervious to everything. Yeah. The weather, the road.
Obstacles.
Yeah. But like when an avalanche happens, like a slight avalanche, put literal rocks in their way to damage the cars, it makes sense. It was just raining. And where they are, that stuff happened. Nothing feels like plot, heavy. Like they were just, got to move the plot along. Let's make something up. No, it all feels like it does tie together, which I thought was cool. Yeah, yes, it totally does. Yeah.
And the fact that she runs out of gas all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, which I mean, let's be honest, in that scenario, I buy that you would forget.
Because you don't mean you want to get away from a killer who will get you. So you don't, well, she does stop at one place, and we can just as well get into that. That gas station in the middle of nowhere where she breaks in, and she's really good at getting keys and starting the pumps and everything, and then disrupting the poor homeless man's sleeping quarters.
Yes. Played by equally awesome named John Quade.
John Quade, yeah. Dude, who's been in tons of stuff. If
I ever make just a fun cheeseball action, like no budget action movie, my hero is John Quade. Oh my God. It sounds like a made up name. No offense, Mr. Quade. It sounds made up. It's so, you know what I mean? It just has that
He was actually in 2 episodes of Buck Rogers that we covered with you guys.
What else was he in? Because he is like a highly recognizable character actor.
An episode of Werewolf.
That's why I know him.
And he's been in, let's see, Every Which Way But Loose, and the second one, Any Which Way You Can, and the Outlaw Josie Wales.
Watching on video,
There he is.
Yeah, I'm bringing up his picture because, he's very recognizable. And what's great is if memory serves, he usually plays bad. He usually kind of plays bad guys, right? Doesn't he typically?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. And I liked the character he played because he has like a menacing look to him, but he's playing this homeless guy. He kind of catches her unawares in a situation where she shouldn't.
He's very soft spoken. I'm just
trying to get he's sweet. Yeah. Like there's like just a gentleness and a sweetness. You get a impression like there might be some kind of, like, obviously he has maybe some kind of disability, but the point is, I loved that he was not a threat to her. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
It's so easy to have like every guy she comes across making her life worse and worse, and she's got to find more and more ways to be resourceful. And it's like, but they didn't do that. I kind of like that it's almost like a sense that the people who make the movie have like a better faith in humanity than that. And it's like, yes, okay, there's one guy who's a piece of crap that needs to be done, she needs to get away from and done away with, but like not every single person she's coming across. I'm sure we'll get to like the couple that are actually, you want to talk about pushy. I'm assuming that's what you meant, Peter. Where you just go up into somebody's house, you're like, I need help.
Yeah. But this guy, he goes in, and when he comes with the tire iron, and he kind of like you and she's, get away from me. But you dropped this. Yeah. And he wants to give it to her, and she's like, no, put it down. I'll put it down here very slowly and very. And then he just stands there, and she says, wait. And so, I want to get to my things. And she realizes she's in the way of his and I did air quotes again, bed, basically. So, how much did you? But he's a friend of Clint Eastwood, because he must be, because he's in he was
in quite a few of those earlier.
Yeah. The Outlaw Josie Wales, which is one of my favorites. Yeah, and the Which Way movies, and But he was in 2 episodes of Buck Rogers that we covered. The one with from season 1, where they're going to this town. The gang is trying to destroy a big town with some elaborate plan. If you remember that, it's been a while since we covered that.
I assume you're talking to Allyson, right?
Yeah.
I remember the vampire one really well.
Yeah.
And there's
this was one. There were a couple of one. I think John Quade played this guy who could telekinesis or something, or wasn't there one?
Okay, that sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah,
that was a Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay,
a 2-parter. So
we watched so many of those, it's hard for me to remember which ones we actually talked about, because there's one with Jamie Lee Curtis where she's really young, and just so many different plots, and they're all kind of mushing together in my head.
Yep. and not to derail us in any way, shape, or form, but for whatever reason, that show is one of my earliest watching TV childhood memories. Like that show, Chips,
the first season.
Yeah, Chips, 8 is Enough. Like those late 70s shows. I must have been like 3-4 years old. I don't know when what years was Buck Rogers on? Do you guys remember? Did it end? Was it in the early 80s still? Was it still on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Wasn't it?
I mean, it was in syndicated reruns when I was watching it as a kid, because I remember I watched that and Battlestar Galactica, but when those originally aired, I was not born / too young to remember. But I definitely remember watching them in like the mid 80s on TV.
Yeah.
Let's see, 79 to 81.
Okay, so I was like 4 or 5 years old. It would have been on. So yeah, I can still remember like looking at the console TV that was on remember the console TVs on the ground? Remember those like that? Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Look at the gray. Remember those? TV?
I thought you were telling me.
I was alive back then.
I thought you were telling me you couldn't hear me. All right. So I do want to say we talked Richard. Everybody in this movie has an awesome name.
Richard Romanus.
Romanus, the killer. Again, I loved. They just call him the killer. I love that they don't explain the scar. I love they don't explain the dog tags or the medals. I love they don't explain his mission. But it's never confusing. Like you're never going like, well, why is he doing? No. We obviously get this guy's out to lunch. Now, you could have easily made it to where it was like The Hitcher, where there's just really no rhyme or reason to what he did. But it makes sense that in 1977 on TV, they weren't going to do that. It's a little too maybe dark and nihilistic. I thought it was cool.
The first shot you see of him is him shooting up a sign in the middle of nowhere, and then just put the gun in the car, and then he puts the voice box and is like, "Good morning," and then he drives off. And I think, okay.
And I watched this with my kids, by the way, and it's funny. One of my sons, my middle son, had told me, not that he dislikes watching these movies with me, but he said some of them have been very hit or miss. So before he's going to invest, an hour plus of his time. So I thought, look, I said, you can start it if you don't. And anyway, they all ended up loving it. But he made a point. He and I got a little debate, a healthy debate about him using that voice modulator or synthesizer at the beginning when nobody was out there, right? Because he just says good morning. And I know they did that to establish that he has no voice box and, blah, blah, blah. But I said they should have waited till he first got on the payphone. And then because there would be a need for him to use it then, right? Yeah. But Connor made a point. I was like, you know what? I actually like his idea better. It's like, but by him doing that, he goes, I kind of like when a character just does this random weird, like it adds to his weirdness. It adds to like, why are you saying good morning to the mountains and there's nobody there, right?
So
he's off. Yeah.
Who said? Was that Connor who pointed that out?
Yeah. I thought that was a good point.
Tell him good boy.
Yeah, I will tell him that. And I will pat him on the head like Walter would.
Yeah.
You. Okay, so another person who has a name that sounds famous, even though, and you'll recognize him, but probably not for his name, Nicholas Pryor. No relation to Richard or isn't he the dad in Risky Business?
Yeah. And also in Morgan Stewart's.
I was going to say, I thought it was Morgan Stewart's Coming Home. I thought he was in that too. Yeah. Okay, cool. And here's what I love. His credit is Man in Sports Car. Was that a sports car? I thought it was like a caddy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Or a Lincoln.
A Lincoln. Yeah, maybe a Lincoln. Yeah.
So it actually should have said the killer in a sports car because he drove a sports car.
Oh, that's the other thing. That Mustang was bad. Oh, yes. That was awesome. I love that thing. Although, this is purely a direct, like backseat driving, no pun intended, the director on this. If they could have, I said symbolically, the car should have been red. Like the car, because red would have shown up at night. I know why they picked yellow, because it shows up at night. But I think if they made it red, it could have still shown up at night. But then obviously red symbolically has more of a menacing quality to it, I think. So
yellow is more like the
coward. Like a coward. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I love actually when you go to trivia on IMDb, one of the three trivia points there. The first one is the killer's car is a 1969 Ford Mustang Fastback in bright yellow.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. All right, here we go. By the way, I love the interviews on IMDb. The reviews on IMDb. A movie to give a kid nightmares.
Well, it's not wrong. I mean, I thought watching it is kind of, you're in the middle of, she's a lone housewife in the middle of nowhere and way off from where she started and has basically no idea where she is at one point. Mm-hmm. And the only one she knows is coming is the killer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's terrifying. And I like Valerie Harper playing it off like that because she is distraught is a mild word.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she is terrified because she knows he's back there somewhere and will probably, because he shows up at a couple of times when she thought she got rid of him. So it's a nightmarish predicament.
Yeah. And what I also loved, because we really haven't gotten into this unless we did, I'm just forgetting, that when her first real interaction with this killer is a cop has pulled him over.
Played over her.
Yeah.
Well, and she pulls up because she wants to ask the officer something because she's about to run out of gas, directions or whatever. And almost immediately, and think about this, like 1977 TV, that's pretty brutal. All she sees is a shotgun and the cop get blown away right in front of her. And I love that now we set up. She has not seen the killer. Nope. He has seen her because he shines a light right in her face.
Yeah.
So that when we get to towards the end, the climax of the film, and I don't want to say what it is because honestly, I loved that. I love that it's the classic Hitchcockian. We know there's a bomb under the table. We know it's about to go off, but the protagonist does it, and that's what makes it work, is our connection to the protagonist and us thinking about what would we do in that situation.
Yeah, and that's also you think about it. Well, why did she wait? Oh, yeah, that's right. And then you have to kind of think back to that moment. Yeah.
Yes. So without giving anything away, there is a moment where she goes, her car, as you pointed out, Peter, runs out of gas again. And so
exactly my notes. Out of gas again.
I mean, come on. But I really love the score in this because there's actually some moments where and there's another movie we covered that did this too, had like a music cue that reminded me of Black Christmas, the only Black Christmas that matters. Well, I think the 2006 isn't horrible, but the 74 Black Christmas with that discordant piano. What? No, you remember I'm trying to and there's like that piano, like it sounds like somebody's just hitting the keys. There's like a moment, like a music cue in this that does something similar. But there's a moment where after she runs out of gas the second time, she's walking up to what ends up being the home of this Native American couple, and it's nothing. There's just wind and just the slightest little bit of Foley sound. And you hear like maybe some chickens in the distance, but just wind. It almost reminded me a little bit of in Texas Chainsaw, when when she's walking up to the, past the porch swing and everything, and that walk up to the house, there's just something about like that build up, and it's very creepy, and I love it. I love. So also, Jay the Dead would love this because it has horror in the daylight. Like it's definitely the next morning and her having to deal with all this, even though it's daylight out. But she goes to this home with this Native American couple. And I think, Peter,
this is where the pushy part comes in.
Yes, this is where it annoyed you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I kind of get why, because she is at this point she is just out of it, and she really just wants to get to her. Oh wait, we didn't even get into that. The fact that she's on the road like this and not just moseying along is because her son is in a hospital and she really desperately needs to get there.
Yes, they set that up.
I get her motivation, but you're still pushing your way into someone's house, and I need a phone. I really do need a phone. I need to talk to. Do you have a phone? A phone. A phone. Do you speak English? Do you have a phone? I need to talk. It's like, really? And then you hear from the other room, the woman's husband bedridden.
Yeah.
So
who was played by John War Eagle, who looks familiar to me. So I don't know.
I kind of because when I was on Dave's podcast, when we talked about westerns, we talked about the collaboration between Anthony Mann and James Stewart. They did 5 westerns together, and John War Eagle is actually in 2 of my favorites of those, Winchester 73 and The Man from Laramie. So I did recognize him. So,
yeah, he actually, this is one of the last things he did. This is the last movie he was in.
Yeah, he was bedridden. So
well, I get okay. I sort of figured that was for the character, not for him personally. But he was in an episode of Grizzly Adams and a ABC Weekend Special. I don't know if he looks. I know I haven't watched as many westerns as you have by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm looking at your scrolling.
Yeah, but
his voice or his wife, Madeline Taylor Holmes, played the Indian woman. She actually had a small part in Pumpkinhead.
Who was she in Pumpkinhead?
I have no idea. I haven't seen that movie in ages, but she was like an old woman or something. So.
She's not the witch.
No.
Oh my God!
I looked that up. So
old hill woman. So she was probably like the families that Ed Holly crosses paths with. Yeah,
probably.
Okay.
So real quick, because you mentioned the music, this reminded me of something I was going to say. There's scenes earlier when she's driving and still in her car, and the music reminds me of the score for Psycho quite a bit. And I just felt like there were flashbacks to Marion Crane driving alone with the kind of different voices of everybody in her head before she gets to the Bates Motel.
You know what? You are so much smarter than I am, Allyson. You know why? I remember the music cue you're talking about because I thought that reminds me of, and it's only because I recently was watching something related to this. I thought that reminds me of Reanimator, but this is way before Reanimator. But I didn't even think about, wait a minute, Reanimator's theme is very similar to Psycho.
Basically a riff on Psycho. Yeah, totally, we actually were listening. I was at a friend, I had a friend who did a horror hosting live event just this last week. And there was horror music before the show got started, and there was the Reanimator theme playing. And I was saying to somebody at my table, I was saying, the people who own the rights to the Psycho theme must have understood or not cared about that this is kind of a parody of it, because it's so close. There could have been such a lawsuit.
I mean, if we're gonna sue Vanilla Ice over ding 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 ding, I've got to believe they would have had a very strong case for the Reanimator theme. Though I'm glad that they were decent and just let them build upon the art they had already created, which I'm a fan of. So I think that is actually very cool of them. One thing I want to ask you both, because I just noticed this as we've been talking. Okay, it says my eyes obviously are starting to get shot here. It says Frank Lugo. I thought it said Frank Lupo. And if memory serves, Frank Lupo was a guy behind Werewolf, the TV series. And since we already established that John Quade was in an episode of that, I thought maybe it was the same guy. Yeah. It's not. Nope. It's not. It's just not. It's not the same guy. But I think that's waiter. Yeah, room service waiter. Is there anybody else that you guys wanted to talk about?
No.
The waitress, Ann Burrell. I don't know if I've seen her anything else, but
no, I don't think so. No, I think we
touched Walter, the jerky husband. He, you know what he is? He's sort of like that classic. I'll now bring us all back into the fray here. He is sort of the classic. I don't even know how to describe. It's like this nondescript, white collar.
Ton of TV episodes.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know what I mean? There's always like that husband that's works at the office at some job that they never quite tell you what he does. Yeah. And you know what I mean? He just has that quality, and he just kind of looks like every other character that's like that. I mean, I'm not trying to knock the guy, but it's just it's such a ubiquitous.
He's the every man, basically.
but see, not because I don't feel like he's relatable. Like Dennis Weaver,
invisible. Everyday man.
No, it's not even that. It's hard to explain. It's like he's just milquetoast. Like he's there. It's very ubiquitous. They were always in these kind of shows or movies. Yeah. They don't really there's like 80 different actors that looked exactly like him, and you'd be like, I don't know which is which, honestly.
Well, it just kind of seemed like that mid-century stereotype of like the Mad Men type guy who's like, I have this high power job, I pay for my family that I rarely see, and I blow off important events on the regular basis.
Yes.
Because it definitely seemed like he was saying, oh, well, I've got to go do this and that, and it was like supposed to be their second honeymoon or whatever. And I just thought, you have this really nice office, which we can see because we can see you on the phone. You clearly make a decent amount of money. You couldn't have put a boundary around a vacation that you planned, also a move. That seems, he just doesn't care. Like it clearly is like, well, just, the family is set dressing that I have because I'm supposed to, and I show up once in a while.
Yeah.
He puts it on her. I mean, it's up to her to make the move work. Basically.
Yeah, and we don't have to go down the road, but there's often, I'm so at this point, and I have been for a very long time, I feel like anything that is perpetuated in the media is like perpetuating, whether it's stereotypes or, assumptions or whatever. I often wonder, like, I'm sure there have always been guys like this, but you always got to wonder, like, to what degree, you know what I mean? Like, they always seem to, like, make them in the movies and in TV shows, but in real life, like day to day, working families, how many people had this guy like this? I mean, I'm sure it existed. I know it did, but like, I think about my own family, and there was elements maybe of that, but it was never like, it's always this. It's always like, he's got a great job, but he's always like kind of never there for his family. And now I know there's a lot of guys from, like, say, the World War II generation who ostensibly had horrific PTSD, and that is why they got lost in their work and had nothing to do.
Kind of looked like he was just stuck in his work, I think.
I don't know. I always just kind of wonder, like, I got to wonder, like, how much of this is reflective of the majority of people's experience at that time, or was it just the majority of the people who were making the movies and the TV shows at that time? Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know if it was just reflective.
Well, their income level is not reflective of the majority of people.
That's what, exactly.
I mean, it's hard to say. I think there was definitely an ideal that was being perpetuated of that you must work all the time, and that is the most important thing, and how much money you make dictates your worth and success and all that. For sure.
But by the way, do you see the pause at the bottom of the frame? He's on his back, like completely asleep, and his paws are like straight in the air.
He's ready for you to dress him like a turkey.
Yeah, exactly.
The little mittens.
Look at this. Look at this. He is out. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Gus, you're cracking me up. All right. For those of you that are watching the video, you have seen Gus levitate.
I almost forgot the part when Allyson said it was kind of like their second honeymoon, because they were gonna meet up apparently and
I forgot about that too.
This drive together, and she was waiting for him at the hotel room, and they're gonna have a nice evening and eat and have fun, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But that's when he says, "Oh, there's a meeting. I can't get out of it," and all that. I mean, he seems like he's fairly high level up at the office. He could have said no. I'm coming.
I was half expecting them to cut to him with another woman, just because of like the lateness of the hour and the whole setup, and then the fact that like they were piling on with this woman's peril, because it was just like, her son had sniffles, but suddenly he needs to have surgery. There's this, major problem, and he's in another state, and she can't get to him. And so it's just like, and this is happening. And I thought, why not throw in a woman on the side as well?
a philandering husband that pats you on the head. Almost literally.
To get to the when she's talking to the doc or the aunt, what is her Miles or Vera?
Vera.
Is she called Vera Miles? No. Vera Willis. Sorry, that was okay.
That'd be funny.
And she talks to the doctor, and the way he talks about it, he this it can be fixed with surgery. I was like, wait, what? Is that something you kind of say that haphazardly?
I looked it up, by the way. I think what they say it was called mastoid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's an ear infection, an inner ear, really bad inner ear infection. Which he had the sniffles. He wasn't very good.
Yeah, sure.
And I can tell you, luckily this has not been the case for a long time. And Peter, I'm sure you had, but back in the day when my kids were really little, like it's amazing how quickly. Like a little bit of it
escalates.
Nasal thing, it escalates to an ear infection, and then blah blah blah. It's
just the way the doctor talked to her. Yeah, but by the way, it can be fixed with a surgical procedure. It's like, wait, what? What? Yeah. So, and then to pile everything else up, and so she's not having a good day or night.
Indeed. So, all right, so I'm going to check my notes, but do you guys have anything else you want to say in regards to night terror?
Yeah, other than the fact that it isn't actually good, like a cat and mouse chase, where they actually play off the peril really well and realistically. So, like you said earlier, Joel, with the obstacles that are actually realistic, with her backing into his car, and he tries to use it. It doesn't work, and he gets stuck at one point, and then you have those rocks across the. So I like it.
I did too. I really loved it. This is one of my favorite subgenres. So, and I just loved that it was minimal. They didn't explain a bunch of stuff, and it had a character that actually was like portrayed as more than just one dimensional. And I like that she had an arc, and that she seemed like just a decent person. Like they had her do things that made you root for her. And it wasn't like, it would be very easy, by the way, for her to stop to help that guy. And it felt stupid. Like, why would you do that? But it felt, since I don't know, maybe it's just the performance of Valerie Harper, the way she portrayed it. It felt really sincere. Good. She kept the level of fear, but you could see like this concern, like she didn't want to just leave the guy. And I thought it was like, I don't know, I like that about her. So,
and actually I found someone who was more obnoxious than she was at the end, because he didn't want any of that. He was sitting in his car drinking because it was raining. He couldn't see anything. And every time, but I really need to go. I have my son. Yeah. But none of that now. Here, take a sip. Here, take a drink. No, I don't drink. Yeah. But he wouldn't hear any of it.
I chalked that up to he was drunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just the way he was like, nope, I will have none of that.
Yeah.
Let's stay on the positive part.
I'm not to judge people that pull over to the side of it, because actually that's the responsible thing to do. That he at least pulled over to get, smashed. But I do find it's like the kind of guy that's like, well, here's my opportunity. I'm just going to pull over on side of the highway during a little, and get schlotzed.
Yeah.
Probably, I think he's trying to maybe run away from problems in general. So probably doesn't want the poor lady that just ran in to say there's a killer on the road. His brain is squirming like a toad.
Yeah, he's like, no, none of that. None of that. Let's just sit here and drink. Yeah,
but
he's right behind us. Can't you see him? Yeah.
But again, you know what I loved? I loved that he didn't hit on her. I love that he didn't try to make, you know what I mean? Like, it was totally innocent. And it's like, oh, wow, that's refreshing. I mean, yes, could he have taken her a little more serious? Sure. But reality is, somebody just shows up in your car, you're 3 sheets to the wind, I'm going to guess. You're probably like, okay, whatever. You know,
I mean, it could very easily have been the other way. I mean, she could have jumped in and been a total nut job and killed him.
Yeah.
So,
and he let her in. So that was,
he did. Well, that's, the drunk.
Yes.
The booze. No, I like that character too, because he was, I mean, all of them are actually real. Even the couple.
It felt grounded. Like, I think that was one of the things I said to my kids was what I liked is because, for instance, the killer has a moment where the radiator presumably gets punctured and he's trying to, and you can see he's getting more and more flustered, and it doesn't feel like they're in some way degrading his villainy. Like a movie like Duel or The Hitcher, those villains seem almost supernatural. They seem like they're like incapable of things really. There's no real obstacles, which makes them scarier. But weirdly, this guy was scary, but it grounded him in that he was a real guy, and it didn't feel. And
the way he fixed it and filled up with water, I wouldn't even have thought of that. I was like, wait, what?
They wrote the characters smartly, and I liked that they did that. And I also liked that it also, from a timing perspective, gave her enough of a lead. So, because if he was constantly coming, you then deal with the issue of like, well, why isn't he catching up to her? Why is he?
It would have been. It would actually have been boring.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I noticed was, without giving the ending away too much, it's clear that he realizes and knows at some point that she doesn't know what he looks like, which would defy the logic of like, why would you pursue her then? Because if she doesn't know what you look like, I mean, she saw the car, but who knows how long he's had that car. That's not that big of a deal, probably. And like, he could have just driven off and let it go, but he's such a like pursuing hunter that's a psycho, basically, that he's coming after her even though she doesn't know what he looks like. Like, that's how much of a crazy person he is.
I know. I thought the same exact thing. I know exactly the moment you're talking about, and I thought he could totally just let this go now. You're like, sorry,
nope.
or
he's
you
not going to.
No worries, we're good. But nope, he totally doesn't. And it is freaky. I honestly love this movie. So, Allyson, you being the maybe the least into highway horror. I love how I'm throwing you on. I'm throwing you under the bus.
All eyes on you now.
Right.
Literally. Right. I really need a more comfortable chair, by the way. That if we're gonna do this, I'm in like this folding chair that I used yesterday when I was recording with Tyson, and I said the same thing during that. I was like, I need a more comfortable chair if I'm going to sit. I normally stand when I record. So I'm
sitting at our rattan bar and a rattan stool, which is fairly, it has a back and it's like fairly comfortable, but if you move it all, it creaks.
I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it once. So.
Hang on. Of course it doesn't creak now.
No, you're lying, Peter. You're lying. So Allyson, did you enjoy it though? I mean, did you like it?
Yeah, I really did. Actually, more than I thought I was going to. Yeah. I was really impressed with the pace, and I was also really pleased with the main character's story arc, because especially in the late 70s, you get so tired of just watching women be helpless and like flail and just not respond to a threat. And it's like, they're not children. and even children would sometimes behave in a more intelligent way than a lot of women are portrayed sometimes. And this was, like, she was flustered. I get really scattered. I can relate to that. At the beginning, she's running around trying to organize things, and there's a bunch of crazy stuff happening in her life. When she's on the road and things are scary, you're going to have moments where you freak out because you're like, what do I do? This is really, really terrifying. I'm being pursued by this person. But she keeps a clear enough head to do things like get herself stuck out of the mud and try to disable his car. And she is able to get herself gas from a semi-abandoned gas station where I guess the guy's gone fishing. So it's impressive. Like, I was continuously impressed with the things they had her do and how resourceful she ended up being. And I think the biggest surprise to me at the end was that nobody in her family knew what she'd been through.
I know.
It was like, they're just like, oh, you've been
in the hospital the whole time.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, okay. I mean,
but that's great. I love that. I love that drives home the point. And actually, your point about women and how they were often portrayed in this time period.
Go lie down, have a drink or something.
You're too emotional, dear.
Yeah.
But that proves my point about what I say about the guys too. Like, that's not how all women were at all. Probably the majority weren't that. But I go back to, it's like, I guess what I'm coming down to say is, whether it's then or whether it's now, don't trust the media. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The portrayals of how people are, no matter, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you think about like how I think about all the people in my life and how I interact with all kinds of people, different backgrounds, different experiences. And then I watch how people are supposedly that kind of person and how they're portrayed. And you go, what? Like, that's not how people are. And I think that's what I actually liked about this movie, is that other than the husband being your typical portrayal, she at least wasn't. That she was, she felt like a real, you said the word relatable person, who's, gets a little scattered. I mean, in her defense, she's moving and I'm sure it's a very hectic time, but for her to go through all of that and for her to not get the acknowledgement, it's kind of the point, right? It's the point. But it also proves the point, she did it. Like, that's the ultimate in self-efficacy, to know not only did you do it yourself, you didn't need anybody, but you don't even need them to be like, good job.
Nope.
You know what you did. You know what you did.
Yeah. So,
and probably guys, well, we're not going into that, but she probably did get some acknowledgement, but not from the family.
No.
So
maybe from her nemesis, perhaps. I don't know. He probably was not capable of towards the end there. I don't know how capable he would have given.
Well, by the way, how awesome was that kind of screeching noise thingy he did at the end, where he tried to scream but didn't use his voice box? I was
thank you, Peter. That reminds me, but he's also his breathing when he's trying to move everything out of the car, and that's all you hear
through the movie. You hear him.
Yeah, it's really good. There's little touches like that made it really good. Yeah, this is, for me, this is top tier.
But that screech at the end, it sounded wow. Not nice.
No, it was something. All right, well, I think we did it. We've hit our first video / audio. You're right. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. Okay.
We know, and we do have stuff left. I'm distracted by the. I'm trying to find. Okay, so how far in Nosferatu are we in the background?
By the way, that movie is either this is because it's that.
It's a long one.
It is long, like silent film. Yeah. But all of that being said, Allyson, I give the floor to you. Anywhere you want them to find you on the interwebs, besides on Terror on the Tube or apparently on the Mom and Pop Video Shop channel.
Yeah. Well, I did have a podcast. It's on extended hiatus called The Haunted Davenport, so you can check that out at thehaunteddavenport.com. Also, my husband and I are big Halloween enthusiasts, so if you want to see some of our projects and props we make, stuff like that, you can check out Clark Memorial Gardens on Instagram, and we'll actually be doing a display at a Halloween convention in Portland in July called Ghosts of Summer. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest and you want to get a big dose of Halloween, you can go to ghostsofsummer.com and check out all the stuff there. So,
cool.
Yeah, those are my things, I guess. Spooky stuff.
Is the Haunted Davenport? Is it not coming?
We're just taking a break. I'm not gonna turn into the little red hen, but I was doing the majority of the work, and I've been wanting to have time to do other things, and so I just needed to set it aside. Also, we were having recording issues constantly, and then scheduling issues, and my sister, who's one of our hosts, completely had to drop out, and then Andy, our other host, my brother, he is lives in another town now. So, I mean, we can still do Skype and stuff, but I just honestly, I was tired of being frustrated trying to make it happen.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. And by the way, thank you for mentioning The Little Red Hen, a children's story I have not thought about in like 28 years. So,
that's a part of my psyche. Like the Little Red Hen lives rent free in my head.
That's awesome. I remember, I think it was the Golden Book. You remember the Golden Books?
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think I had the Little Red Hen Golden Book. I remember that.
There's actually a really funny parody of it in another children's book called The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales. It was a 90s children's book where they have the Little Red Hen and she keeps interrupting other characters' stories to basically complain about all the things that she does that no one helps with. And, I just sometimes I go there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do, at least in their own heads, they do.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yes. So speaking of going there, Peter.
See, I kind of knew that segue was coming. Well, here or in kindergarten, retro movie geek with you and Daryl. Mm-hmm. And once in a while, I do visit Hugh over on the Undead Wookiee podcast. And if they want to go back and hear some of our other shenanigans or read some of my stuff, there's Forgotten Flicks.
Yep.
So other than that,
check all that out.
Yeah. Other than that, I suppose, well, I don't know, Letterboxd and Instagram and all of them, their places.
Yes, indeed. Obviously, I am also with the great Peter and Daryl on Retro Movie Geek and Jay of the Dead's new horror movies with new episodes coming out all the time. I think I feel like the Evil Dead Rise episode, he gave us a list. He actually has like a spreadsheet now of all these episodes he's trying to get out. And so I think finally Evil Dead Rise review is coming out because that was a really fun one to do. So, but yeah, so definitely check that out. Great show. I know he has a channel now on YouTube where he wants to.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
If you look up Jay of the Dead's new horror movies, we'll link it here in the description under this particular episode. And so if you happen to see the video of this and feel so inclined, please be sure. I got to do it, guys. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave us a comment below. Did you ever see Night Terror? Tell us what you think about it. And
do you like Joel's dog?
Yeah, I mean, come on. If you don't, I don't know that we can.
Oh, look at him like, what the hell's going on? I don't want to do this.
He's still asleep.
Wait, he's still asleep?
He's still sleepy.
Oh my God.
He is alive. I swear to God. He's warm. He's breathing. I feel it. I told these dogs are amazing. So anyway, definitely do all that stuff. Leave a comment below. Let us know if you've ever seen this movie. Do you like, highway horror, all that kind of stuff. If you're listening to the audio version, be sure to go over to Mom and Pop Video Shop on the YouTubes. I will put the link to that in the show notes for this episode, or Peter will. Peter usually does the show notes, not me.
Okay.
Please, Peter.
Remind
me.
Yeah. Remind me.
I will. But so be sure to check all that good stuff out. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching.
Hang on. Have we not forgotten something?
We haven't picked the movie.
My God. Wow. I was so ready to wrap it up.
Gus, bite him.
Gus is still sawing logs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right.
So a number between 1 and 10, because Allyson picked 11, right?
I did. Yes.
You know what? I think I want Allyson to pick from now on because she picked a good one.
Okay.
That's totally how that works. Yeah.
I think I pick things like Haunted by Your Past. Okay, that's what happens. All right. How
I think Drew picked that one actually.
Oh, did he? No, he didn't.
I think so.
Did he?
Yeah, because he was on
here to defend
No,
himself.
he was.
I'm not.
I think he was on for the Invitation to Hell episode.
He was. I remember that. Yeah.
And then I think we made him pick the next movie. And
he picked a number.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not it. Oh, I guess then if I'm gonna say it's not his fault, then it wouldn't be my fault either. All right, fine. 5.
Don't be afraid.
5.
Hang on.
We actually get to watch Peter do this now.
Oh yeah.
We've never seen it.
It's legit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Number 5. Oh wow, we're going into 1994.
Oh yeah.
We'll finally have 2 90s movies. Yes.
It's called The Haunting of Seacliff Inn.
I think I've seen that.
Hold on. I'm adding it to my list. Hold on.
Okay, I thought I'm going to check this out. No, you're not.
Actually, you could just send me. I'll get the title from you later, Peter. So I don't have to sit here and type all that up. The Haunting
90s.
of Sea Cliff Inn from 1994.
Yeah.
Ooh boy, we'll see how this goes. All right. All right. Well,
what number was that? It's been so long since I put these lists together that I don't even remember. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
1994.
All right. We'll see.
I don't remember how that decade looks like.
Yeah.
I do. I remember it pretty well.
Yeah.
I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah. Well, 94 was my graduation year from high school. So
parts of 94 is a little bit of a blur.
It was up to no good.
Well, neither was I.
Yeah. I wish I would say that I wasn't, but I was, dating my future wife, and I was like mainly watching movies and crap. So yeah, I was boring.
Oh, you want to hear about age? 94. I had kids.
You're 94?
I had kids in 94. Okay. That's my age.
Woohoo! Yeah, indeed. All right. Well, until next time, remember, when it's late at night and you can't sleep, you might find yourself flipping through the channels. And if you do, beware, because you never know when you just might stumble across terror on the tube.